Just during some.
Hey, Ryan's face. Yeah, I'll share. Okay. All right. All right. Good evening. We're going to go ahead and call this meeting to order. Please rise. Say the flag, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Hey, roll call.
Jody Thompson, board member. Jamie Bailey, board member.
Bernadette Bauer, board member. Stephanie Smith, board member.
Delaney Hanson, student representative.
Chris Nesmith, superintendent.
Jeffrey Rowe, staff.
Julie Moore, staff.
Lisa Arnold, staff.
Marilyn Curl, staff.
Eric Smith, staff.
Candace Goldsmith, staff.
Okay, approval of board meeting minutes for April 13th, 2022.
I'll move for the approval of the board meeting minutes for April 13th, 2022. I'll second that.
There's been a motion made and seconded. Is there any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, tonight we have two hire letters, one for Miss Allaire and one for La Africaine. Am I saying it right? La Africaine?
Believe so.
Okay.
All right, well, the first one is for Jane Allaire. The hiring committee recommends Jane Allaire as the Elma 712 Athletic Director, High School ASB Coordinator position. Jane has previously held positions at Elma Middle School and Eagle Sky Virtual Academy. Jane came into the position as a mid-year replacement. She hit the ground running and has done an outstanding job. Jane is a quick study, has excellent organization skills, and possesses a can-do attitude. She's built positive relationships with coaches, parents, and players. Jane also has a history of working with student leadership groups, both as a teacher and as a parent. We believe that Jane is an excellent fit for this position. We look forward to watching her grow as a professional and lead the Elma School District to excellence. Respectfully submitted, William A. Opperman. Then the last one is from Mr. William Christensen, our child nutrition director, food service supervisor. I would like to recommend Jonia, the Africaine, for the 1.5 helper position at Elma Middle School. Signed, William Christensen.
Thank you. Okay, so we'll move along to the consent agenda.
I'll move for the approval of the consent agenda. I'll second it.
There's a motion made and seconded. Is there any discussion?
I have a question real quick.
Sure.
Chris, in regards to Jane's position,
Mhm.
the leadership piece of that, is that the part that Emily Severs,
That's
Is
the
that-
position that was resigned.
that was resigned?
Yes.
Okay,
Okay. So
so she's taking
absorbing
over that.
Yes.
all that.
Perfect.
Thank
you.
I'd just like to note appreciation on behalf of all of us for Darcy and Chris, who both have resignations, who have served our kids well, and wish them the very best on their next adventures.
I
Yes.
second that. Thank you so much.
Okay, is there any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay. That brings us to our facilities engineering site survey presenter, Mr. Monroe.
All right, good evening. Just kind of reporting to you guys on the process of the long-range facilities planning that we are doing. We began with the site and study survey. We hired CBRE, who brought in architects. The architect group was IBI. They performed detailed studies of our buildings, went through plans. They took all our plans. Before, we never had them digitally. They was like unroll, dig forms and unroll. We now have a digital copy of all our plans, which is great. It's going to save us a lot of time in the future. They brought in seismic engineers. That was part of the state or the OSPI grant to do the study and survey, included a seismic piece. And so they kind of looked at that stuff. And I think you guys got a copy of the report that they typed up. So they went through the buildings, created the report. They also performed the ICOS detailed condition assessment piece. And then there's a couple ones that I report on every year. I think 3 years, they have to be done by a BCA, so they perform that as well. So that's done. And then see, they discovered about 5,000 square feet of space that was not previously reported, which could increase our funding because we're funded on building size. So that's kind of a good find.
Can you explain what they found 5,000 square feet?
For example, like below the middle school gym, that had kind of been modified over the
Okay.
years that's where they use they get ready for football and stuff like that. So
Mhm.
not exactly, and just some of the stuff, spaces were bigger than we thought before, not reported correctly or
Oh,
something like
okay.
that. So
Okay,
it's kind of neat.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. I'd have to look on there exactly to see where, if I asked them, they'd probably tell me where the additional was, but just mismeasured before, not sure.
it's a large mismatch.
See, I felt like the report went pretty well. I mean, they did point out some things that we definitely need to look into, but kind of talking to the engineers, he told me some horror stories of other places where they had to immediately evacuate type of deal. We didn't have anything like that, so that was good.
Good.
So I was really happy with that, and they went everywhere. I mean, they were in attics. They came back several times, took pictures, and they really looked at it. So pretty happy with that process. Another piece of the planning is the functional adequacy report. That was Teeter and Crocker. They came through, and they're going to be here tomorrow night for our meeting. That's where they go look at all the spaces we have, and they talk to the admins and toured our buildings to see what programs we're running, what programs we're going to be running. Do we have the right space for those programs? Where are we deficient? And we haven't really got into all that yet. That data, that'll be tomorrow at the meeting, will be the big data dump. And so that's really good. They looked at enrollment projections, and then the findings will be discussed with the long range facilities planning committee tomorrow night in this building at 6 p.m. If there's we have a pretty good mix of community members already, and a lot of staff wanted to be on it. If there's anybody watching that's a community member, we would always take more community members. It's kind of hard to get the word out, but we do have quite a few people. And if anybody knows somebody that would like to be a part of that, we would welcome them. Yeah, so basically the committee is going to listen to the data, prioritize our needs, and together we'll figure out the steps to take to make our schools get better for our kids. And then I was going to ask you guys if there was any goals that you have that you would like me to bring to the meetings. I don't know if you guys have thought of it. We can think about that. And I got the little slideshow. This is from Teeter and Crockett. This came in just got this. So this kind of explains their process, which is kind of a neat process. So this is kind of the big picture of facilities management. So you do an evaluation. That's what we're doing. We're doing planning. That's kind of where we're at. And I think the next slide shows that this is where we're at. We're making the master plan. And then once you do your planning, which our meetings will kind of get that going, then you figure out where do we get funding. Come up with a plan for that. Once you have a source of funding, that's when you go into the design and then construction, and then you just keep on going with that process. So long range planning document guide to guide a district in its facility design, construction, and capital renewal activities over the years. That's what a facilities master plan is. It's included as interviews, enrollment projections, capacity analysis, facility assessment, looking at the condition, the site condition, educational adequacy, and develop a master plan. And then we'll report the final plan to the board for action. This is kind of just an example of like the planning that could happen. A lot of times you still have school while you do any kind of construction, so it's kind of a juggling act. So if we get to that point, we'll have a plan for that. Projections, common elements, this kind of stuff we talked about. Assessments. Community input, that's going to be huge. That's kind of how we'll get our direction. You know, we want to do, you got to do this stuff right. You got to plan it out, look at the future, and have have experts guiding us. We're going to be better fit to plan it correctly. Looks like the lights are getting brighter in here.
Okay, we were wondering,
Yeah,
we're like, why did we
It's
just get
it's
this?
daylight harvesting, all new, and as we get in, if we get into construction, the requirements for new buildings are crazy. So
Yeah.
you have automatic dimming and brighting of lights used outside. It's all energy code stuff. So, and that's kind of like where the older buildings lack. You know, we don't have vestibules. Usually when you walk into school, there's a door and then another set of doors. It's called a vestibule.
Yeah.
That's all energy code stuff. We were before the time of all that stuff. So it's kind of
Does he know that we were some of the first classes in the new high school?
I know.
This is kind of what we talked about, the planning process. I think this kind of shows where we're at, starting the planning committees. So you can kind of see that this is kind of our roadmap. And then, as we assess if we need to go out for levy or bond or whatever, the goal would be to have a plan and decide what we want to do there. That's the information for the people that put together for us. That's pretty much it. I'm pretty excited about the meeting tomorrow. Just the data that they found needs to be good, and then they'll probably be able to give us like a rundown of it for the people that can't make it, and then we'll report back to you. So
I look forward to that.
It's a big change in process where normally like the district built a plan and then you go to a bond and then the district goes to the community and asks. We're trying to reverse that where we do a site study. The district presents that site study to the community, and then the community would come back to the board and say, we feel that the district should run a bond or not. We're really trying to reverse that order on the district responding to the desires of the community based upon, what the community wants for their students, what the community wants for their children. And this really, like I said, that reverse order helps that community buy-in, right? Because that's who we're here to serve. We're here to serve the members of our community. So Jeff's done a good job getting a lot of community buy-in. He's been pounding the pavement to make sure that we have broad area representation, especially with the district's previous with our previous bond requests and our our bond asks. Really gave us some resources to go back and say, can you come on and join the committee had some strong opinions in the past. We'd like to give you all of the information. This is the state of the elementary, East Grace Harbor High School, middle school. This is the state of all of our facilities, including our athletic fields. And this is really the type of educational program we want to offer our students. What would you like us to do? So that starts tomorrow. So.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
I'm excited to see the outcome of that meeting.
Many, I think we finish in August.
It'll be here before you know it.
It'll be.
Okay, so it's oddly in between A and B, says superintendent evaluation.
I think that that's part of
This.
Yeah, oh, yeah, we're labeling, so.
Okay.
Sorry, for the note
I just wanna
taking
make sure.
process.
Okay, I wasn't sure, it just felt out of place, but now that I remember how that is, maybe we need to asterisk it for Bernadette. Because I'm like, did we do that already? Because,
Can I just add really quick, Jeff, just as a point of clarification, if somebody was listening and not hearing all the way, you were giving the example of how they would use space to build a new space if we were going to build a space, but you were not saying
No.
we're building a new high school.
No.
I know you weren't. I just wanted to clarify because sometimes that'd be easy to start a rumor mill so that you were just giving an example of what it might look like in the
Right.
process.
I
Yes.
appreciate you asking that. The Elma School District is not going out for a bond.
I understood that. I just really felt like that was important to say for the record correctly. So thank you for sharing the example. Okay.
We might have in October a community recommendation that we do. We don't know what the community will
Right.
recommend. We are responding to the requests of our community. There
Yes.
we go.
Thank you.
thank you.
And I'm looking at you because I don't know where else to look.
No,
I
it's
could look
totally,
at my computer screen.
it's completely fine. I just
Anybody?
didn't want to start. I didn't want to start a freak out tonight.
Okay, so facilities project update.
So yeah, Ryan had asked for an update on the safety and security project that we have going right now. So the camera system it's been fully installed. It's up and running. We had a training with admins, considerable upgrade. A lot quicker to sift through, when they have incidents to sift through, it can be tedious. There's a lot of features on this that really speed up that process. And then, we're gonna, once we get the software on all our computers, it's a pretty clear camera system. We have, we can get license plates now on certain cameras. So if something happens, we can probably narrow it down pretty good. So I'm not saying don't do anything bad to our school, but you might get caught. But it's really good though, and that incorporates the system does tie in with the door system. The door system, the hardware has been installed. They're working on a few issues. It's still kind of in the transition phase, so we do still have keys everywhere. Which once we are up and running, everybody's issued a card, then we can start to transition into getting rid of the keys for the exterior doors. One neat thing about the door system is the lockdown function. Instead of running around frantically locking doors, we can hit a button and lock them. Just kind of walk around and check them, make sure nothing's propped open.
Jeff, do we have an alarm that tells us if something is propped open?
We're not quite there yet on the software. So there's a lot of features to this system that can be utilized.
It will be there
Eh,
eventually.
Kind of, I think so. It's hard to say. You can look and see the status of doors,
Okay,
so. But I'm basically, I'll give you an example of the elementary. There's like 1 million exterior doors.
yes.
Those doors don't all have sensors, but what we are gonna do is shift our culture to where they're always locked.
Okay,
Does that make sense?
yes.
No more no more propping of the doors, so if they're all locked except for, and then we use the main ones that are on the system to enter and exit, then it would be very easy to make sure those ones are locked and the other ones should always be locked. And that's kind of the way that we'll attack that. But like I say, we're in a transition. So once we're fully going, then we're gonna start to change like the culture of, I want, like ideally the doors would always be locked, except for transitions. That's kind of tough at like the high school, for example, because they go between buildings. So there's some work to be done, but definitely better than what we had. A lot better. So it's kind of emotional for me. I had 3 little kids in the school, and just to know that they're safer is huge. I mean, we live in a small town. We don't have these incidences, but we don't want to have these incidents.
Right.
So it's a good thing.
Mrs. Grigg said they did do the lockdown, the single button lockdown drill today and home doors locked.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah,
Wonderful.
that's huge.
Yeah.
A lot of schools aren't there yet, and so they're starting to. But I feel like instead of being behind, we're kind of like jumping up the ladder here to safe and security. So
Eric, were you saying like it would notify if you were tripped from like one computer screen, somebody would be able to see such and such door is not,
So this was the feature that we were going into lockdown, we would send one command to lock all the doors.
yeah, we have, it's like a panic button.
right, but you said they would, something would show that a door didn't shut?
There is a notification that if a door is, it was opened, it was not, either it wasn't locked, he sends you notifications for every type of entry, and if it's being forced open, it's very locked.
Okay, I think that's it.
Yeah, that clarifies it.
Okay, thank you.
So,
Thank you.
yeah.
So I'm gonna put my juvie hat on here for a second. What happens when the power goes out?
I asked that already. They're DC, the locks are DC, and so they have a battery backup. So they say they will still function. And so, yeah, and if the power goes out, they feel locked, which is good. So
Okay.
they're powering to open. So that, you know,
Okay.
if I disable the system, all the doors just lock. And so the fail safe is locked. And so, like when I worked at North Thurston, nobody had keys except for like the locksmith had a way in case the system was down, that you could go into the building and get doors open.
But you can't get out.
Oh, yeah, you can get out. There's panic
You can't
bars,
get
or the push bars. You can always get out of
Okay.
school. Yeah.
Okay.
You're just locking it so that people can't get in.
Mhm.
So, and that's kind of another security thing. Like if you had to run from danger, you don't want to lock people in either.
Right.
They need to be able to get out.
Right.
So,
Okay.
so yeah, the fail is to lock, which is good.
So what is the communication if an incident happens?
Mhm.
How is the communication happening? Logging how the events are taking place, like going into lockdown, I don't know, just how is that information getting out to everybody?
We can actually, what I can do is I can have, that would fall back under our drill procedure on how that drill procedure is going down. Jeff just is gonna have the lockdown process. And I can have the principals come back in and report back on the drill procedure. Because I think we're different by building right now on how that gets managed by the building.
Oh, it is.
Yeah, so I think each building has a set drill procedure.
I mean, the door system, we do have like the rapid responder stuff, which we're not fully utilizing, you know, so there's that, but it's just kind of the normal, like if we're in a lockdown, we're probably gonna notify the authorities and stuff like that, so. We don't have anything tied to this that's gonna like send out a thing that we are in lockdown, but we just have that ability to lock it. Before it was run around and undog doors, which could take up to like 10-15 minutes, and now it's like hit a button. So
Does only one person have access to that button or?
it's in the office, so it's in a secure place, so, yeah. And then, yeah, we don't have like panic buttons around or nothing like that, but this system can be added on to though. It's, you know, to what our needs are. So, once we get it up and running, like immediately, as soon as we got it on the schedule, we found out we needed to open it 20 minutes earlier or let it lock
Okay.
30 minutes later because people were still coming in and out, stuff like that. So it'll be a transition, and then once we get there, we'll definitely be safer. I'm pretty excited about it. And it's what the voters have been asking for and stuff.
No,
for
yeah,
a
it's
long time.
great.
So it's a big project, it's a big undertaking.
Yeah.
But it's well worth the investment. So, pretty happy with it.
Thank you again.
Mhm.
It's a lot of work, I know.
No problem. Oh, and then, oh, sorry, I was looking at my notes here, the fenced area, there's a between the annex and the upstairs, where the two, what I'm talking about in front of the library,
Mhm.
that will be fenced in.
Mhm.
That's part of this, and they have talked to the contractor, they're still in the process of getting that contract, so there's still more to the project, and they're not fully done. And then I'm gonna go through item by item on the bid, make sure everything was performed, stuff like that.
Will that come outside of that outside classroom door
Yeah.
below the bottom stairs and just kind of
It's
fence
kind
off
yeah, it'll fence off kind of that
by that little
courtyard.
courtyard? Okay.
Yeah, and what they'll have is egress only gates,
Mhm.
so you will be able to run out, you just won't be able to come in.
Yeah.
It's kind
Okay.
of cool.
Yeah.
So, and that's kind of one of those spots that's like, we're open to Main Street.
Yes.
So we'll shore that up.
Yeah.
So that'd be good. And then between that and the camera system, we have way more coverage on the camera system now, so. it's
Great.
Pretty good upgrades.
Thank you, Jeff.
Good.
Okay, move on to communications and comments. We have anybody from ETO? EESP? ECOPA? Admin? We did not have any persons to be heard or public comment registered. And good news.
You want to take good news since you made the paper?
Oh, he was looking at me, I was like. no, I did
Softball's
not.
winning. Yay, we're on a 3-game win streak, so. Skills USA is going to nationals in June and a lot of things, and FFA is going to, this is basically my student rep report.
Oh, I don't want to cover it, but you had some good news. Sorry, I didn't want to steal your report.
No, that's okay, but yeah, I made the paper for softball.
Yes, you did.
And then,
You beat.
and then how did?
Yeah, we beat Montesano in softball, so,
Oh, that was worth it.
yeah.
And then, Christy, how did poultry do?
State champions.
State champions.
Awesome. Great.
For FFA.
So we've been having a lot of success lately. So good news is just a lot of students doing really, really well. Stephanie, did you want to talk about State Skills USA? Did you have anything that went well at State Skills USA for your family?
Well, we have a national officer
Yeah.
candidate. for-
I have no idea.
I didn't mean to put you on the spot, but since it was your own child.
Grace Smith is a state Skills USA officer and is now running to be a national Skills USA officer. And that will be a big platform for her in Atlanta, Georgia. So very excited about that.
Yeah,
We
Very
also
cool.
have Sam Gillis that's running for state FFA officer in May.
So not to put you on the spot, but you had some.
I loved it.
success
I loved
and then
the
you were
look.
there.
Yeah, I was like, I'm not sure what he's asking.
So we've had a lot of success lately, so I think just a lot of good news.
Mhm. Okay, unfinished business. We have approval of policy 2409, credit for competency, second and final reading.
I'll make a motion for the approval of policy 2409, credit for competency, second reading and final reading.
I'll second that.
There's been a motion made and seconded. Is there any discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. New business. Approval of out-of-state travel for the middle school and high school FFA dairy tour in Oregon. Ms. Kershaw.
Yes, we're traveling to the state FFA convention in Kennewick this year instead of Pullman. So normally we ask for Idaho travel. Now we're going to ask for Oregon travel. for the simple fact is that Shelby Felder, one of our former students, is operating a dairy down there that is farm to table with a creamery and everything, plus they're introducing water buffalo, so it's a very kind of a unique thing. I know, exactly.
Yeah.
So what we'd like to do is, we're taking, 20 middle schoolers and 20 high schoolers to the state FFA convention, and we do have some time in between where we'd like to be able to travel across the state border to go see that dairy. We may not be able to take all students, but it would be students that are interested in just being able to have that opportunity to travel. So add to our chaos there.
So proud of Shelby.
Yeah. Yes.
Are you going to? Go ahead.
Oh, I'll make a motion for the approval of out-of-state travel for middle and high school FFA dairy tour in Oregon.
I'll second that.
There's been a motion made and seconded. Is there any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, approval to accept bid of greenhouse recover project.
So this has been a labor of love. Jeff understands this. We've been working on trying to recover our greenhouses for the past 3-4 years. And with the pandemic, it created quite an interesting trickle effect of first off trying to find supplies, but also finding contractors. We also still working with Lisa and Candace is making sure that we're following all of the federal protocols for going out for bids. So what we've done is Jeff has done an excellent job trying to secure contractors with his North Thurston contacts and all that. But again, like I said, we are really struggling finding contractors. We work with local contractors. So you'll see in your packet, you'll see that we did identify different contractors that we pursued but did not get response or just said they simply couldn't do it. We also pursued somebody that was, had been doing this, but they're based out of Swim. And then we also had local contractors that we were working with. Upon evaluating the bid, we're looking at the horticulture greenhouse completely, which is the one where the plant cell usually is facilitated. And then our aquaponics or natural resources greenhouse, we're just going to cover that top, not the sides. So in the end, what we'd like, the proposal in front of you, and we did you get the amendment of the current, oh, thank you. So Jeff also secured House Brothers quote that we had in your packet was over a year old, and he just reached out to them to confirm that we were still a go. You'll see that this bid, obviously inflation and everything is happening, so it is $6,000 more. But we are still feel like this is the best option for us because it's a local contractor. We feel like whatever we need, we'll be able to work with them and secure that. It is the lower bid also. So we're confident that this is the right direction. You'll see that this is labor. We're working still with horticulture services, which is our typical, our service that we use for our greenhouse program and have. The bid in there is also outdated. And the reason being that, again, inflation and all of the supply chain has been an issue for us. So once we get this solid and secure and we actually have a date, because we're looking to do this in May and June, then horticulture services will give us an updated bid, and then that will secure that. So it's been, like I said, I can't tell you what a struggle this has been, but we're excited to be able to do this. And if we get the greenhouses covered, we're hoping that it will pretty much secure Emily Seaver's career here at Elma, because it should be good for 20 years, but she will probably could work longer than that. Don't tell her I say that.
I think this is recorded.
So well, she's got to get Vera through college anyway. So anyway, that's where we're at. If just for your consideration and approval, we just want to make sure that we're securing and following the bid process as possible. We did do our due diligence. I can't say that I love completely where we're at, but it is really the circumstance that we have currently with coming out of the pandemic and during the pandemic.
Can we approve the bid, even though we don't have a final vote for the, yes, we're just making an assumption it's within reason? in essence?
Stephanie, I have input on that. So the horticultural services, anybody that you call to do a greenhouse, the way they do it is they have you buy the materials from horticultural services. It's a very limited people that do
Right.
this kind of work. And then they will do it for you. The person that gets recommended by any national number you call is so busy, he does not respond back to us. It's been, like I say, it's been a nightmare. And
Sorry.
I mean.
That's
yeah, I
not
mean,
perfect for
not-
you guys,
Not that
but
many companies that supply that stuff.
right,
That's kind of just.
you're just gonna have to pay what
Price
is
is
there.
what it is
Right, right.
kind of deal.
And all the funding comes from the CTE budget. Like I said, this has been a labor of love for the past 4 years, and we have been, using some of our carryover, realizing that this was a big project that we were gonna have to put forth. So we have the funds to cover it because we've been planning on it.
And I'll just have to say, we're not unique to this situation, and the recommendations that we hear from the auditors is just document, because you've tried your best, you've done your due diligence. If you don't get, all the 3 bids, all that, as long as you're documenting it, that's what they want to see. So I think you guys are doing a great job.
And I feel like the packet, I tried to give you the documentation there too, so that you were in the know and aware. And it's something that I worked with Candace and Lisa on.
Awesome. Okay. I'll move for the approval to accept bid of greenhouse recover project.
I'll second it.
There's been a motion made and second. Is there any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay,
Thank you.
Thank you.
okay. Enrollment, Mr. Nesmith.
Yes, so our enrollment has been on a positive trajectory. Most of that is through our Eagle Sky Virtual Academy and our ALE programming, which is up to 88 students in all ALE. Our high school still remains, so we're up in elementary by about just under 15. We're up by about 2 in the middle school, but we're down by 46 students at the high school. And so we've still been maintaining a downward progression. Next year's 8th grade class is a larger class of about 114. That's currently average enrollment now. So we do expect those numbers to go out with the enrollment moving from 8th grade into the high school. So we still are really optimistic about the continued growth. We are about, I think about 30 students, 30 students above our budgeted rate. So, and that's a good rate above budgeted. So, are there any questions? You guys can, then I can look at the hard copies here, so.
Do we know why there was such a drop in the high school?
The big thing that hit us was the running start rate in the junior class. That created an enrollment drop by we have about 30 students that are doing that. And it's not uncommon that you have a large junior class and then you bring those student population back because of grades, transcripts, So.
I don't have any questions. Anyone else? We free to move on? Okay, thank you. Okay, budget report, Ms. Arnold.
I think you guys have it all in the packet.
Yep.
Right now, we're on track to have about 1.6 million ending fund balance. That could grow a little depending on how much we still move over to our extra money. Any questions?
Lisa, just one question regarding the security system and everything we're doing. Is that going to flow through capital projects or is that flowing through general?
That's capital project.
So we'll see those bills through capital projects
Yes,
as they come in. Okay.
yes, they have been coming in.
Okay.
There's no additions to these. They're all the same. I don't have any questions. Okay, anybody, Ryan, any questions, comments? Okay, thank you. Superintendent report.
So today was our very first day on the Washington State Mastery-Based Learning Team. There was 17 schools in Washington State that were selected. 3 of them are from the Elma School District. And this is a team being led by the State Board of Education to redesign what mastery-based learning will look like under state law. So it's nice to be on the driver's side on defining what this will look like for the rest of the schools in Washington State and having a voice and a say on what that would look like. And our leadership teams have really just been doing a great job. So I know Julie was with us, Eric was with us. And our first in-person meeting will be May 26th at the Point Defiance Zoo, which is where someone will need to identify which of our staff members from the 3 buildings will go to be representing the Elma School District when we were in state meeting. So I think for our superintendent report, the big news is today was the launch of the mastery-based learning work for the State Board of Education.
Great.
Julie or Eric, if you want to add on that, since we're there today, are we good?
I was excited to see they mapped out where the schools were from, and a large majority are from west of the mountains. There's a few on the other side, like 3, but there were multiple alternative education programs that were in there, and just a handful of regular schools in this process. But we were a part of it. Tumwater has a middle school program working at it, and Raymond was entitled. And I was glad to see that there are some others that are kind of local that are similar that we're going to be able to build collaborative work relationships with, as well as across the state, for sure. I was chatting with someone from Yakima, from the middle school in Yakima. She's in one of my groups, and that was, it's like, yeah, we had a great conversation. It was exciting. So I see the belonging to this group as really beneficial to us as a team and to our district as we grow. We're going to be able to share ideas and watch good things happen.
Great. Okay. Ms. Hanson, student rep report.
So the past month has been kind of nuts. Everything is kind of happening all at once. Spring has been very chaotic so far. For me at least, especially with like FFA state coming up, and we're going to Georgia in like 2 months, which is crazy. I've never run that far across the states before. For Skills USA Nationals, and hopefully we can take home some hardware, because last year we got second in nationals for chapter business procedure, and that was just over Zoom. And so I feel like we have a really good opportunity to bring that back home. Spring sports have been going on, and softball beat Monty, which was a big deal, and that was really cool. We haven't done that in a really long time, and so being able to do that and bring that home for our community was really, really nice. And the support for everyone has been really great about it. And then kind of last thing I have is, because these past couple months have been so chaotic and just everything's going on, just remembering to be nice to yourself. I know that I need to work on that a lot more too, because I got so much stuff going on. Drinking water, it's starting to get warm, hopefully. Yesterday we had our game and it just started pouring, like downpouring, and they left us out there, but we eventually got to go in. But so it's been kind of nasty outside, but just making sure that there are better days ahead, weather-wise and otherwise. So yeah.
Thank you. Okay, that concludes our meeting for the evening. We're going to go ahead and, well, it doesn't conclude the meeting thus far. We're going to convene for executive session to do planning and adopting strategy for collective bargaining. That'll be about 30 minutes. There will be action taken when we come back into the meeting after. So if you want to come back and see that, it'll be in 30 minutes.
So we'll be in executive session from 6:45. We'll come back at 7:15 p.m.
Okay.
I don't know, on the top of my bald head.
They stand up.
You're not leaving, you should be.
You're just right. Just, we can just see through your hair now. I don't think, are we unmuted yet? Oh, okay.
You're good.
Okay, we can reconvene meeting. Okay, so we will call the meeting back in session.
I'll move to excuse Ryan from this part of the session.
I'll second it.
There's been a motion to excuse board member Chris Deli for this last section of our meeting. Is there any further, or is there any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, any opposed? Motion carries. Sorry about that. That was rough. Okay, approval of resolution 8-2122 reduced educational program and reduced staffing plan.
I'll move for the approval of resolution 8-2122, reduced educational program and reduced staffing plan.
I'll second that. There's been a motion made and seconded. Is there any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
I'll make a motion to adjourn this meeting.
I'll second it.
And the motion made to adjourn. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay.